All right, so hello everyone, and for today's session, we are going to discuss about Android SSL pinning. Uh, Android SSL pinning is one of the most important thing that you should know. Why? We are going to see that in the next couple of slides. So before starting with Android SSL pinning, we should know what is Android. So we will not go in the architecture of Android or how Android kernel works or how it is made. We'll just have a quick, very basic overview of Android, and then we will go ahead with our main practical of Android SSL pinning. So Android is a mobile operating system. It is based on modified version of Linux kernel, and it is again open source software. We all know that, and it is designed mainly for touchscreen mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets. So this is what we use, and we call it as Android. So why is our one of the platform to pen test? Why are we going to discuss about Android SSL pinning, or why are we going to pen test it? Because Android is capable of running applications, and there are many applications out there for many target platforms and organizations that we can test. So applications are good scope. I'm talking about mobile applications, and they are less touched compared to web applications. That is the main reason that Android apps contains more vulnerabilities rather than web applications, and there are many security researchers who hunt on web apps but likely to hunt on less on mobile applications. That's why Android applications are sometimes considered as gold mine, and we can identify a lot of hidden vulnerabilities into Android application. So for testing Android applications, we first need some lab setup, and then we can do it. So the first requirement is Burp Suite. You should have Burp Suite running into your computer. Burp Suite's community edition is more than enough for doing static analysis as well as dynamic analysis for Android applications. Second is a rooted Android phone. In case those users who do not have a rooted Android phone, they can use a emulator as well. In the next slides, I'm going to show you how you can install your own emulator. So what is emulator? Emulator is basically nothing. It is kind of a virtual machine which runs your Android operating system. The similar way you run operating systems like Kali Linux or Parrot OS into your virtual box. Similar way, we are going to run our Android operating system into a virtual machine, and we call it as emulator. And lastly, you need an app to test on. Because we have done this setup, obviously we need an application to test. And if everything is fine and our lab setup is good, then we will be able to test the application, which basically means that we will be able to capture the traffic that is passing through the phone. All right. So to tell everyone about what actually Android pen testing contains, so there are two parts of Android pen testing. The first part is the static analysis, and the second part is the dynamic analysis. So what are these two different sections of pen testing in Android? So in static analysis, we identify and analyze the code of the mobile application. So for your information, all the applications that we use has an extension which is APK, and those APK files are nothing but they are fancy zip files. So basically all the files that we use mostly are zip files. If you talk about your documents, the Word documents that you use or the presentations that you use, if you rename it to zip and you open it, then you can find a lot of cool stuff inside there. There is a bunch of XML files and different files all together, which makes a standalone application. All right. So what actually do we do in static analysis? So as the name suggests, static analysis, we are going to see something which is static and not moving. What is that? It is obviously the code. So the code inside the application, how it is written, if it is not written in a secure manner, then we are going to identify it. Second thing that we are going to see if there is something sensitive which has been left into the application by the web developer. So let's say by mistake the developer leaves some keys. The keys can be, let's say, a API key of Google, a API key of any premium service like Twilio or Jira or let's say Shodan. Those API keys are very, very sensitive and it costs money to the target organization. And if those API keys fall into bad hands, and that at that particular point of time, it can be a business loss. Apart from keys, there is a lot of sensitive thing that can be identified in static analysis. Like it can be access to internal dashboards or internal infrastructure or some of the private IPs, sometimes SSH keys and a lot of juicy stuff. So all this can be identified in static analysis. So for today, we are not going to discuss about static analysis. We will discuss about dynamic analysis. So what is dynamic analysis now? So as the name suggests, anything that is dynamic into the application and which is moving. So obviously the requests are going to be dynamic into the mobile application. So we are going to identify how the application is communicating with its own server. So we are going to capture the request and we are going to see if we can manipulate those requests. Are we able to manipulate the functionalities of the application or the behavior of the application? So if we are able to manipulate the functionality or the behavior of the application, then we may end up finding a valid vulnerability into the web application, which can also lead to a security vulnerability or a business logic flaw. Speaking of that, let's continue and actually see how can we perform dynamic analysis. To start with dynamic analysis, we need to first overcome our first step of milestone, which is our biggest hurdle, that how are we going to even start our dynamic analysis. So to do dynamic analysis, we need to capture requests. Unlike of how we do capture request into our web applications, how we configure our browsers, like whenever we want to do a web app pen testing, at that time we configure our browser. There is Mozilla Firefox with Burp Suite and it is quite simple. So the two things that we do is, first of all, configure the proxy. Second thing that we do is push a root CA certificate. All right. But Android architecture is different. There is something called as SSL pinning, secure socket layer pinning. Now, what is SSL pinning and how it is our first step milestone or the biggest hurdle in doing the dynamic analysis of the mobile phone? So as you can see over here, this is how a very, very noob way, or I would say a very, very basic, simple diagram that I have put for how SSL pinning works. So as you can see, onto the left is your mobile phone or your device, Android device. On the right hand side is the server. So your Android phone is going to send a request which is hello to the server, and the server is going to reply with hi. And then, so this is basically hello and hi that has been happening between both of them. And then the Android device is going to say, can I have your certificate? The server is going to provide its certificate, which is here it is. And the Android phone is going to compare the certificate with its own pinned certificate. And if it matches, then they are ready to establish an encrypted session, or the communication will start between both of them. Now, if you notice over here, what the Android phone is actually doing is it is comparing the certificate with its own pinned certificate. What does this mean? This means that the server is going to ask, the Android phone is going to ask the server that show me your certificate. And if your certificate is valid and matches with the certificate that I have into my application, there is a certificate which is put into the assets folder of the APK. And if it matches, then the Android phone is going to say, okay, your identity has been verified and I'm going to talk to you. And this way the communication can start. Now, what if we put something in between. So let's say we are going to intercept request, obviously, and we are going to put burp suite in between. Now at that particular time, when we will configure burp suite with the Android device is going to ask the certificate. At that particular point of time, our burp root CA is going to provide its certificate, and the Android device is going to see, okay, I'm comparing the certificate with the pinned certificate, which is inside the assets folder into my APK. And when it verifies it, it finally sees that the certificate does not match. And when it sees the certificate does not match, the application is not going to establish any encrypted session. That basically means the application will only throw errors that no internet connection found or something went wrong. The application is not going to run at all. So this is the biggest hurdle. If we put our root CA in between, the Android application is never going to trust it. So how are we going to overcome this issue? That we are going to see into the practical time. So basically how SSL pinning works. So the client will only trust the server if the server can provide a valid certificate. That is the signed certificate by one of the trusted certificate authorities or the root CA that comes pre-installed into the client. I'm giving more importance to the pre-installed certificate. Why? Because in some of the methods of SSL pinning, we can also modify the pinned certificate itself into the device to trust any arbitrary root CA. That we are going to discuss on a later point of time. Alright, so it is verify the root trusted CA with its own pre-installed certificate, which is into the client. And if it matches, then it will say, okay, connection verified, I can start. Otherwise, the connection will be aborted. So how SSL pinning can be fooled? So an attacker can abuse this mechanism by either installing a malicious root CA certificate to the user's device itself. So the client will trust all certificates that are signed by the attacker. Therefore, it is vulnerable to potential man-in-the-middle attack, and we can intercept all the traffic. So if we see a simple SSL pinning code over here, then you will know that how this actually works. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that you need to see, and it is a very, very simple code. The first one is read the pinned certificate from the local, that is the assets folder. So it is going to read its x.509 certificate, which is basically a google.crt, which is a Google certificate. Then it is going to, client is going to create a request to google.com, and it is sending a request to the server. After it has sent a request to the server, it is going to establish the connection, and it checks for the certificate and sees if one of the server certificate matches the pinned certificate that it has installed inside the assets folder into the client. And if the certificate matches, then it is going to show a message that is server certificate validation is successful. And if the server certificate validation fails, then it is going to throw an error that server certificate validation is failed. So this is how a simple SSL pinning code looks like. And there are many mechanisms to implement this, and there are many ways that this can be implemented into a web application. Into a mobile application. And this was the easiest way of doing that. Now it is the practical time, and let's see how can we do this. So before starting the practical, guys, I would like to share this thing that in total there are 3 ways to do SSL pinning bypass. Alright, the first way is that I'm going to show you, and it is the most easiest, convenient, and the way through which we get the highest success rate. That's why I'm going to show you that. Second way is using Frida. You can use Frida, and then you can run the Frida server and bypass the SSL pinning. The third way is modifying the pinned certificate into the device itself, or modifying the code at least, in which if it checks if the root CA is valid. So if you can modify the certificate itself or modify the code itself to trust any arbitrary certificate, then you can also do SSL pinning bypass. But to do that, it will be difficult for some of you to modify the code itself and make a new root CA into the device itself. So basically these are the 3 ways that you can try to do SSL pinning bypass. So we are going to see today the first way. The first way includes 3 things that we are going to do. So let me just start it and I will show you. The first thing that you require is an Android emulator. So an Android emulator is something that will be helpful for you to install and run the application. Now for this, you can install any emulator you want. There are many emulators that you can use. I like to use Genymotion. It is free of cost and it works perfectly fine for me. I have tried other emulators as well, but I have faced many issues in emulators like BlueStacks and other emulator, Andy. So I'm going to use Genymotion because this works perfectly fine. Now this is totally free of cost, so you can just go into the download section and you can download it for your device. Now it is available for most of the major platforms or distributions. So as you can see over here, it is available for Windows, Linux and Mac. You can install it accordingly. The installation is pretty self-explanatory and it's simple. So once you have installed it, you will be able to see Genymotion into your computer. Now remember guys, Genymotion works with the help of VirtualBox. So if you're installing Genymotion, remember you need to have VirtualBox also. Okay, so the download that you perform is without the VirtualBox and you need VirtualBox installed into your computer. As you can see, this is with VirtualBox and this is without VirtualBox. So if you have not installed VirtualBox into your computer, then you can download with VirtualBox version. I already have VirtualBox installed into my computers. So I'm going to use the VirtualBox version. I'm sorry, without VirtualBox version. So let me show you VirtualBox first, that I have VirtualBox installed. And this is how a VirtualBox looks like. Okay. I also have Genymotion installed. So let me show you Genymotion. So this is the version of Genymotion that I have installed, and Genymotion comes with a lot of flavors and devices that you can utilize. Now for our testing guys, I will highly recommend that choose any device which is above Android 7, because many of the new applications, they have a lot of issues with running on versions that are previous to Android 7. So I will recommend using Android 7. Okay. Now what you can do is you can choose any device. So let's say I'm going to choose a Nexus device or a Google device. Okay. So you can choose a device over here. And then what you can do is you can configure the device itself, or you can configure from here first, or if you want the direct installation, you can start install over here as well. So let me show you. I'm going to install a Google Galaxy Nexus. Over here you can see you can keep all this default, which are the display settings. I will just leave that blank. In the Android version, you can choose any Android version that you want. Again, I will recommend choose minimum Android 7.0 or above. Okay. So you can choose Android 7, and after that you can choose any network mode you want. You can choose bridge or NAT, anything works fine. For my personal preference, I choose bridge. Okay, then it should be bridge to which network adapter. So I'm running onto a Wi-Fi network, so I'm going to choose wireless, and I just have to hit install. You can modify the memory size, that is the RAM that you want to give to this virtual machine or this virtual OS, Android OS, and the processors you want according to your requirements or preferences of your machine. Now you just need to hit install and it will start downloading. First it will download the Android operating system and then it will install it and it will boot it for you. Now I have already done this, so I'm not going to do it again, and I will show you. I have a Samsung Galaxy S6 with me, as you can see over here. So I've been using this and it is running on Android 6, but I also have an Android 7 version. I have this already configured with some of the applications. So I will just start this device. You just need to double click the device to boot the device. And you can see the device boots something like this and it looks something like this. So this is your Android emulator. In case those who have a rooted Android phone, they can also use that. And for those who do not have an Android rooted device or are running onto an iOS device, can obviously use Genymotion. So we have overcome the first step, that is installing an Android emulator. So we have installed Genymotion and now our machine is also started. Our Android machine has successfully started. Now let me just open up this machine. So this is how your machine looks like when you start your machine. Alright. So the next and the most important step that we are going to do is configuring our machine with Burp Suite. Okay. So first I will start quickly Burp Suite. Now for this particular demonstration, I'm going to use the Burp Suite Community Edition because it is more than enough. And it works perfectly fine with our Android device. Okay, so let's wait for Burp Suite to start and then I will quickly configure this. Now remember guys, the configuration part is little bit tricky, but it is not difficult. And if you will do it multiple times or more than 2 to 3 times, you will be able to easily set up your mobile device. Okay, now first thing, let's go in proxy and go in options. Okay. Now guys, you have to understand over here, this is a different operating system, which is an Android operating system. Outside is the host operating system. So these two are a different operating systems. Okay. Now, if you want to capture a request of the inside operating system onto the host OS at that particular time, you need to tell the inside operating system to use the outside host as a proxy, or at least send all the request or relay all the request through Burp Suite. Okay. So for that, we are going to add a new proxy listener. So I will just click on add, and over here you can see you have to choose bind to address, the last option, which is the specific address. Why are we choosing this? Because we are going to tell our Android operating system that you need to bind a proxy listener with the host OS only. Okay, so I'm going to choose the host OS operating system and the IP address. Now let me just confirm this is the IP address of my device. So let me just type ifconfig. And you can see this is my IP address. All right, so my IP address is 101. Now guys, we need to tell a port number as well for it to communicate. Okay, so I'm going to give a port number that is 8082 and I'm going to hit enter. Now you can see I have two proxies running. The first proxy is not being used currently. I can configure this with my browser as well. And the second proxy, I have made this to configure with my Android device. So if you want, you can turn this off as well. Or if you want to simultaneously test a web application onto your Mozilla Firefox into your host OS and test the Android operating system as well simultaneously, you can do that and you can keep it running. All right, so for now, I'm not going to run it, so I will just disable it. All right. So we have done the first step into the Burp Suite. Now the second step is configuring the Android operating system to talk with Burp Suite. So for that, you need to go in settings. So after you have clicked on settings, you will go inside. Then you have to click on Wi-Fi. And then you can see wired SSID. You have to long press this. So once you will long press this, you can see modify network. So I'm going to click on modify network. And so as you can see, I have clicked the modify network, and here you can see some of the options. So here you can see, first when you will come over here, you will see something like this. You just need to choose proxy manual. Once you choose proxy manual, it will ask you for proxy hostname, proxy port, and IP settings. So first thing that you have to do is you have to give the IP address of the host machine, because the host machine is what we want to communicate to and pass our all the requests from there. And then you need to choose the proxy port number. After you have done this, you can click save. If you want to give any static IP to your device that should not change whenever you reboot your Android operating system, you can also do that. For this particular video, I'm leaving it on DHCP, so it automatically gets assigned IP address. I will hit save. Now when you will hit save, we have made the connection, the communication between our host OS and our Android OS. So let's verify if this works or not. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Chrome browser, and I'm going to type http:// there. As you can see, I already have started getting the Google Play API request into my burp. So I'm just going to turn it off. All right. So now to verify if this is working, just type http:// burp, the same way that we configure our Firefox browser for web application pen testing. You have to configure it the same way, as you can see over here, and hit enter. And if you are able to see the burp suite over here, then it basically means you have done the steps correct. Okay. Now when you have done the successful connection between both the devices, we need to install the certificate as well. So for the certificate installation, you can click on the CA certificate and you can download it. So I'm going to download it for you. As you can see, it has successfully downloaded, as it looks over here. Now you have to do the most important thing, which is to rename this certificate. As you can see, the format is cacert.der. You need to rename this certificate to cacert.cer, which is the certificate. All right, so I'm going to go into the file manager and I'm going to rename the certificate quickly. So let me go into my file manager. So once I'm into my file manager, I'm going to rename the certificate quickly and then we will move ahead. All right. So as you can see, we have downloaded the cacert into the DER format. So I have to rename this to CER to install it, because DER will not get installed into your Android devices. So you just need to choose this particular certificate and you need to click on rename and you have to rename it. I have already renamed it, as you can see above. I'm going to again rename this certificate. So let's say we give the name as cacert_new. All right, so I'm going to give the new certificate a name like this and I'm going to rename it to CER. Once you have done this, you can just hit save and your certificate has successfully renamed. Now you need to install the certificate as well. So for installing the certificate, you can just go back to your settings and then just search for cert, CERT. And you will be able to see an option which is install from SD card. So I'm going to click on that. Whenever you need to install a certificate, guys, your Android operating system will ask you forcefully to put a screen lock. Okay. So for those who must be thinking that why I have put a screen lock into my virtual operating system, this Android device, that you have to do it compulsory. Your device asks it. So you need to set up a screen lock, a pin lock. Now, once you have done this, you need to go at the bottom and you can see install from SD card. I need to click over there. So when I will click over there, it will ask where is the certificate located. So you just need to give the path of your certificate. So I'm going to give this certificate and I'm going to install this particular certificate. it will ask you to give a name to the certificate. You can give whatever name you want. So let's say I'm going to give the name as burp certificate new, and I'm going to hit OK. As you can see, the new burp certificate has successfully installed. Okay, you will get a message onto your notification alert that network may be monitored, because we are going to intercept the connection between our device and this device. Now, once you have installed the certificate, then you should face no error while browsing, because this is how we basically do it. When we are doing web application pen testing, at that time we configure our browsers, right? And it works perfectly fine. So let's see if we have configured our browser correctly and we are able to open google.com or not. And you can see we are able to open this. Now, just to show that we are able to also intercept, you can see I have got a request to intercept as well. So this works perfectly fine. Now we have done this. Now the most important part is doing SSL pinning bypass. That is very, very important for us. So now what we are going to do is we are going to choose exposed module, which is going to help us bypass this. Okay, I consider this as the most easiest way, and it has given the highest success rate. So 99% of the applications you can do SSL pinning bypass through this particular method. I have done SSL pinning bypass for all the major applications like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and it works perfectly fine. Alright, so how to do this? So you need to download and install exposed module. Okay, so exposed module, let me show you over here. My internal, this is working really very slow, so let me show you how you can do this. Okay, so exposed installer APK. So you just need to download this from any website that you want. Let me show you, and you can download the same version. Yes, so you can download it from APK Mirror, and you can install exposed installer 3.1.5. Now what is exposed installer? Exposed installer will be able to install some of the applications into your rooted device. So by default, when you start Genymotion, all your devices are pre-rooted. Okay, so you do not need to root it. Now, with the help of exposed installer, we are going to install some of the required modules that will be helpful for us to do SSL pinning bypass. Okay, so you need to install this APK into your device. I have already installed it, so let me show you how it looks like. You just need to download this. The download button should be here, as you can see, download APK. So when you will click here, it will say your download is starting, and your download will start. It is just of 3 MB, so it shouldn't take much time and it will get downloaded. Once it is downloaded, you need to install it. So let me show you how it looks like after it has installed into your computer. So as you can see, it looks something like this, exposed installer. Let me just open up exposed installer and let me show you. So as you can see, it has installed, and first step that you have to do is, when it is installed, is it will say exposed version framework is inactive install. So you need to click on install and update, and you need to click on install. Once you click on install, you will be able to see this green tick. When you will start, it will give a red cross, which means the exposed status is not ready, or it is not active, or it is not installed. You have to remember this. You need to install this first when you start your exposed installer. So I have already installed. It is very simple. It will take few minutes to install, and once it is installed, it is good and it is ready. Now when you have installed this from here, as I have already shown you, you have to click on these 3 dots onto your left, and you need to go on download. After you go on to the download, This download section contains all the modules that are given for the exposed installer that will be helpful for us to perform SSL pinning bypass. Alright, so you can see there are a lot of modules which are written by a lot of security researchers. Now you just need to search for a module which is related to SSL, and you can see you have two modules over here. The first one is SSL unpinning, which is certificate pinning bypass. The second one is trust me already. So you need to install both these modules. How to install it? It is very simple. You just need to click on the first module and you need to go onto the versions. After you click on versions, you can see there will be a version over here. You just need to click on download. After it has downloaded, it will not install. You have to install it from the next button that I'm going to show you. So you have to download it from here. Similarly, you can download trust me already as well, like the above steps that have been shown. Again, click over here and go to modules. Once you go to modules, you have to check this. When you will check this, it will get installed automatically. So alright, so we have installed it and you have to check this, so it will successfully start. And yes, I also use root cloak. This helps me to hide root from some of the chosen applications. Why this? Because I was testing one of the application that was Arogya Setu, and it identifies if a device is rooted like Genymotion. And some of the developers, what they do is, if they check the device is rooted, the application will not run on the device itself. This is what they think as a protection, that do not run the APK onto devices which are rooted. So you can install root cloak as well, which will hide the root, hides the root from chosen applications, and you can run rooted device, the applications onto the rooted device as well. Alright, the steps is exactly the same. You can also use expose GFE security patcher. I have more success rate with root cloak, so I use this. Alright, so once you have enabled all this, you have to enable all of them. So once you have enabled this, you can minimize this. Okay, now we want a testing application, so you can download any APK from the Play Store, or if you want, you can download any application from APK Mirror as well. You can search the application name over here and you will be able to download it. Okay, so I have already downloaded many applications into this device from Play Store, so I'm going to show you in one of the demo application. So let's say for this particular demonstration, we take the application which is Swiggy and we show the demonstration. Alright, so I will just close this as well, and close this as well. Okay, now I will start my burp suite, and you can see this is my burp suite which I have started, and I want to capture a request. Okay, so first guys, I'm going to show you without doing SSL pinning bypass. We have just installed all the necessary tools, but we have not done SSL pinning bypass till now. Okay, so first let me show you the errors. The Swiggy application will throw errors because if you remember into the starting slides, I have shown you how it does the code checking. So it will do the code checking, and it will identify that there is something malicious in between, which is the burp suite's root CA, which is listening, and it will throw exceptions and error, and obviously it is not going to work. So let me just open up Swiggy application. Okay, so first is unable to get location. Okay, so let me choose any location from here, and you can see something's not right. Our best minds are on it. Why this? Because this application is doing perfectly Android SSL pinning checking. If I click retry as many as times I want, I will not be able to configure this application with my burp suite. If you see here, I do intercept on, still I will not be able to capture this. See, I'm still getting errors. Why? Because this application is successfully doing SSL pinning checks and I'm not able to bypass it. Obviously, I have not done yet anything. I have just installed the required tools. Alright, so let's quickly do SSL pinning bypass and capture some of the traffic from this application. So you can see actually what is happening in the background, and I have seen most of the Android applications, they are highly likely to be vulnerable, because most of the developers, they think that if they put the SSL pinning check onto the application, they have provided all the security they want, but that is not the case. That can be easily bypassed. So we are going to quickly bypass this. So let's see how can we do it. So for doing this, you need to open up the applications that you have installed. The first application that we installed was SSL Unpin. So let me just open up SSL Unpin, which is over here. And I have to click on this application to start it. Now, once I have started the application, you have to search for the application you have installed and you want to bypass SSL pinning for. So I will just scroll and you can see Swiggy. Okay, so I'm just going to click it and you can see bypass applied to Swiggy. This is that simple and easy. You just need to click it and it will be able to do it. Okay, now just minimize and let's try to verify if we are able to capture the traffic or not. Let me open up Swiggy and click on retry. Okay, so let me just close the application, and I want the application to restart the connection or at least do all the client hello again with the server. I'm going to close all the applications which are running into the background again, and I'm going to start Swiggy again. Okay, this time let's do intercept on and let's see if we are able to capture the request. I have some request and you can see I am able to see my profile.swiggy.com request, which means I'm able to successfully see the request into my Burp Suite, and you can see it was analytics dash.swiggy and Gamuga. Maybe they are using this for analytics. I'll just turn this off. Click on this, click on select and proceed. Again, click here, do intercept on. Let's see if we are able to see anything. Okay. Let me go to my account. You can see I'm getting the request over here. I will just use this request later on. Users, transactions, refund. I'm able to capture all the requests into my browser. So this way you can at least know what are the endpoints the application is using. As you can see over here, Swiggy, pos.swiggy. All right, so let me click on my account, or let's say orders. Let's say I click on my accounts or manage address, let's say. Okay. And you can see profile.swiggy.com. I'm able to get all the address request over here. Okay. Let me retry this again. As you can see, I was able to capture this request successfully. Let me edit this address. Let me click on edit. So it is asking for Google Map API, obviously, because it wants you to point it somewhere. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just change this developers to SS and I'm going to save and proceed. And you can see I have got the address as well over here. So it was developers. As you can see over here, I'm successfully able to capture this. Okay. Obviously, if you will hold the request for long, it is going to give you an error that we are not able to connect with the server. Okay. But we have obviously the request now, and you can play with this request as many as times you want. Okay. So I'm just going to hit go, and you can see address updated successfully. Let's verify if our address is updated. Let's go back, and it should be SS over here. Let's go back, click on manage address again to confirm that we are able to intercept the request and do a modification into it. Okay, let me just turn this proxy off. All right, and you can see we have successfully changed the address using Burp Suite, which means we are able to modify this. Now there is a lot of things that you can do, guys, and you can start your usual web application pen testing methodology or the attacks that you want to do over here, and you can spider the application for all the URLs, and you can do whatever things that you want onto this request that are being sent to the Swiggy application. So this is it for this video, guys. I hope you guys understood how you can do SSL pinning bypass for any application that you want. This was the most easiest and most convenient way of doing it because it is very simple, but it gives highest success rate. You can also do this using Frida, and we will see that into the next video how you can do it using Frida server as well. So I hope you guys understood. Thank you.